Today's principle of design is one of the more simple and straightforward things. So begin by just looking at this field of dots. Which one are you looking at? I have no idea. Now if I flip this switch, I bet I can tell you which one you're looking at now. And what I've done here is use contrast. One of the objects looks different from the rest. It is also high contrast from the background. And what this does is emphasize one of the forms. So once again, I've got some orcs. And if you look at this image, it's pretty confusing. There's a big crowd of guys. Maybe it's a battle scene, a dinner party, who knows? Instead, what I'm looking for is clarity. I want to immediately tell a story to the viewer. And to do that, I have to control where they're looking. So right now, you might be looking at the treasure chest. But if I were to change the lighting a bit, you'll definitely look at the treasure chest. Because right now, you, the viewer, like these orcs, are all looking at the treasure chest. It has the highest contrast in the image. So what I've done here is I've taken a big jumble of characters and I've brought in the emphasis. And now there's no confusion about where to look. And also there's less confusion about what this image means. Now it's a bunch of orcs looking at a magic treasure chest. So the easiest way to get emphasis is through value contrast. Pick the part of your image called the focal point, which is where you want the viewer to look, and have that be the area of highest contrast. So what works with value contrast also works with color contrast. Here I'll throw in some color, and you can see that I've done the same principle. And you might notice that there's also some contrast in my brushwork. For instance, the objects in the very close foreground are out of focus. Also, I softened up the characters in the very background. In this process, I only left the objects in the focal point, the treasure chest and those two orcs, at their very sharpest. And all of these tools point the viewer's attention towards where I want it to go, which is the focal point. Here you can see I used color contrast to emphasize the brow ridge of this dragon. I also used more detail in the area I wanted the viewer to look at, and then receded his neck and shoulders into almost no detail at all. So here I'm pulling the viewer's attention with both detail contrast and color contrast. And with this other dragon, I'm using primarily value contrast. Since the dragon has dark skin, I wanted to have a really bright shape behind him to pop out his silhouette. So why not put the sun back there? It's about the brightest object there is. So in this way, I'm forcing the viewer to look at his eyeball because it is the brightest area of contrast surrounded by a circle, which helps the viewer find the focal point. So far, we've only talked about balance and emphasis, but know that all the principles of design are trying to achieve clarity. You want a viewer to be able to look at your illustration and know what it means. And right now, if you look at this one, it's confusing. But even a scene with this many characters and objects can be clarified with a little use of emphasis. So give this a try for yourself. You can either download the orcs at the bottom of the post, or try bringing out some of your old paintings and touching them up with a bit of emphasis. It's a simple trick, but it really works wonders. Thanks for watching, guys.